Hello, everybody. It's a Saints man. Always take these off. Small van driver on the CX. This is. I'm going to try and keep this as shorter than my normal week in the life of. This is to do with shippers. Um, I don't think I've done one about shippers, good and bad, and how I look for jobs and what determines what sort of price I probably put in on jobs and where I go. But it's mainly about the shippers. Um, I've been doing this almost 3 years now. And to start with, to be honest, I work for anybody. I would, yeah, I wouldn't even probably, because you're looking to get work. And as a new driver, not much feedback. If no feedback to start with, you work for any shipper really. And you have to put the legwork in. When I say that is, when you just started, I always phoned up, even if it said quote, and I explained, I'm a new driver. I've just come on the CX. I've been working in transport. I used to drive Arctics. Now I'm a small van. I know the business. I'm interested in the job you've got. I just thought I'd phone to introduce myself. Blah blah blah. And you hope they give you the job. And yeah, pretty much worked for anybody to start with. Didn't take a lot of notice of feedback. Didn't take a lot of notice of negative feedback. That was when I started, just to get yourself established, get yourself some feedback as well. That helps. But now I don't know how much feedback I've got. It's 400 and so many. I don't know. I couldn't even tell you. They're all positives anyway. But now I'm 3 years in. Well, nearly 3 years in. After year one, I've pretty much worked for anybody. And fortunate for me, it seemed to work okay. Everyone paid me. I never had anyone knock me. And then the second year, I had one company go under, and they went under. It was 140 quid they owed me, and I did a job for them November 2021, something like that. Anyway, I did a job for them, and I did it on the 12th of November, and they got took off the CX on the 14th of November, and trying to chase them, find them, and yeah, put quite a bit of effort in to try and get the money back. No chance, and they got creditors everywhere. I went through. I've got various mates who can help and put me in the right direction to try and get the money back, and they owed thousands. So my 140 quid was never going to come back. Although, like one of my good friends said, he's in that sort of thing, security, and he looks out for people getting money back. He says, just keep an eye. He said they tend to pop up again, different name company, but he says just keep an eye on them. So that was a lesson. I'd never worked for them before. They didn't have brilliant feedback, but I still did the work. Now I look, I only work for certain shippers. I've actually got a list of shippers that I will not work for. It's not a long list. In fact, it's 6 shippers. In all the time I've worked, there's 6 shippers that I've worked for and regretted it, as in very late payment, chasing money, getting the money eventually. And what really annoys me with some shippers, it's not many, don't get me wrong, there is more good shippers than bad, is late payment. Because we don't do the job late, we do it on time. But these shippers, oh, and they don't even say sorry, some of them. That's what gets me, really bugs me. They don't even say sorry. I do the job. I like to think I do the job good, and I like to think the shippers are happy with me. I represent that shipper when I take the job on, and I do it to the best of my ability. And I've never had any problems, and I've had some really tricky jobs. But then you get it; they pay you like 45 days, end of month, and it's just it gets that, and they don't pay you. And then I phone. I don't bother sending email. I phone, and they say, "Oh, can you send it again? Because we can't. Yeah, it's through the CX. Yeah, we don't collect through the CX. But it does on your terms and conditions say through the CX. Yeah, we've changed now. We've got our own portal, our own email. Yeah, but you didn't send me it. So I've had a bit of problems with a few. Always been paid. It was just the one that knocked me until last month. Before I went away, I did a job. It was January. I did the job, and it hadn't been paid. And again, I looked on to send them it, and the number I'd got, this number's not recognised. And I thought, and I never worked for him before, but it was 40 quid. It was a 40 quid job plus VAT. It was 48 quid. And I looked at the CX, and again they'd come off the CX about a week after I'd done the job for him. And I'm like, for God's sake, so that's another. And I checked company's house, they're resigned, they're packed up, they're not at the address, they're not on the phone. I looked, my mate looked, yeah, they've got creditors again, they're in debt 3, 4, 5 grand to people. So there's another one. It's only 48 quid, but it's still 48 quid. So, but before then, I thought I was doing pretty well. I work for shippers that I've worked for who I think are honest, who do by me, right by me, and I do right by them. And we have a good relationship. You try and build up a relationship with good shippers. I work with big shippers, I work with local shippers. I always find big shippers pay you automatically on that day. If it says on the 30th of the month, on the 30th, it's like an automated thing. Very rare you get it any earlier, very rare you don't get paid, it's not missed. Your mid-range shippers, I've had a couple of problems where they're late payment, but they've paid. As soon as I've got in touch with them, really sorry, we'll pay it. And they always pay at the end of the week. Fair enough. And it's paid. No problem. It's the small shippers that I like working for. Um, they're in a similar boat to me and they're honest and they just seem to treat you better. In my opinion. My opinion. And I do a lot of work for the same shippers now. I looked before I went away and when this one went bust again, they were from London area, never to be seen again. I presume they'll pop up somewhere else. But it's now experience. I've got experience now. I see a job. Yes, I'll put a bid in on that job because the shipper I've done. I must have about 15 shippers where I've done probably 20 to 30, probably 40 jobs for each of these 15 shippers. And they don't have to be based where I am, around Northampton. Some are based in other areas, but they seem to get work around me or they get work nationwide. And when I put a bid on, I like to think they look and think, I may not be the cheapest, but they know the job will get done. And that's where you build relationships up. Simple as. So what I'm saying is if you start, you have got to perhaps take a bit of a chance but just look for the shipper's feedback. Out of these companies I don't work for, these 6, there's 2 I've done one job for and the money's been paid but late and they've got really bad feedback. They got poor feedback. And one of them puts work on there and I don't even look at it. Even if I'm in the same town and it's going back to where I just swipe, delete. But when you first start out, you may not have that, opportunity to do that. But what I'm saying is just be careful. If you're working for a shipper that's you're getting, especially if you phone up and you have a chat with them and they come across really, honest, they sound honest. Way of saying it, I don't know. But that's what I think anyway. I do work for new shippers. I check their feedback and I go through it a little bit before I commit. You have to take your chances now and again, especially if you're in a remote area and they're the only shipper. You have to take a chance. But say 6 that I've blocked, well, not blocked, I still see their jobs, but I don't bid on them. And some who maybe have a little bit not brilliant feedback, I may put a bit more money on it, or I may think, I'll quote on it, but I'll be very careful. If it's something for 200 or 150 to 200 plus VAT, then I'm very careful who I'll do the work for. I know at these times it's difficult, and it is difficult getting work, and people are taking, they'll bid for anybody, but it's just what happens when you're down the up to 3 years. Hopefully, your experience, your feedback, shippers will see that. The good shippers will see that and rather book you, even if I'm charging £10 more than someone who, again, like a driver, hasn't got good feedback. And it works both ways. Drivers got good feedback. I think shippers will use them. Good shippers will use drivers with really good feedback rather than price. Yeah, you may get one 25, 30 quid cheaper and you think, oh, I'll do that and take a chance. But if they're very similar price, surely a shipper will use someone who's reliable. that's my feed on it, really. That's all I've got to say. But just about shippers. I should imagine 95% of shippers are great, but there are some out there. Just be careful. Anyway, that's my 10 minutes. Speak soon.